Hello everyone, this is Ricky with SwollLineupSports.com. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. We get a lot of the same emailed questions in, and I'd like to put it out there, maybe so people can see this and, have some of their questions answered that come in a lot. But a lot of the questions we get are on the lineups and whether we actually play the lineups that we put out for our customers every single night. And the answer is yes. There's not a lineup that we produce that we don't put out for our. If we put it out for you guys, we're definitely playing it. We also have many people that have the Swoll logo out there. So if you see somebody with the Swoll logo, you can't assume that that is, completely affiliated with our site. We offered at one point, some lineups in exchange for our logo, and many of our customers have chosen to support us by putting our logo on their avatar, and we appreciate that. Many times people take our lineups and they change them to their own likings and put them in tournaments. But just because you see a lineup with Swoll logo doesn't particularly mean it's a lineup we made. In terms of putting out lineups, we take a lot in consideration when we make our lineups every night, and we do projections. We believe that there's a number behind everything. We don't like it to be an arbitrary thing. We don't like to say, we don't look at Joe Johnson and say he's going to score on that guy because there's no way that guy can cover Joe Johnson or whatever. The fact is, we look at Joe Johnson's season, how he's performed, home and away, the split, projected minutes, the pace of play. There's a lot of things that go into our projections, and we have a projection for Joe Johnson that night. If Joe Johnson projects at 27, obviously this is not an exact science. Joe Johnson could go for 50, and Joe Johnson could go for 14. But there's a lot that we do to put into these lineups, and we try to put out lineups that are head-to-head lineups. We try to make sure they're not, tournament lineups, and they want to be safe. They're designed to beat the general public and, win cash in 50-50s. Although they are probably slightly positive expectation in tournaments, they're not designed as such. And the reason we don't put out tournament lineups is because last year when we did, we had a couple of nights towards the end of the season where we won every single tournament on FanDuel, and in doing so, you'd have 10, 15, 20 people with the same lineup in a tournament that won. And that's not fun for anyone when you actually do win. So we decided to leave tournaments out of this. In terms of the lineup that we produce, we run it and have a projection for every single player. At the end, we put it into a tool, basically in Excel or the web called Solver. It says, given all your projections, here's the highest possible output. And we take a look at that, and if it meets our cash game expectations, we post that as the number one lineup. The number two lineup, say the number one lineup projects at 285 points. The number two lineup is often 274.9, and the difference will be two shooting guards. Say, Kyle Korver projects at 23.8, and Caldwell Pope projects at 23.7. Does that mean Kyle Korver is a superior play to Caldwell Pope? Just as an example, no. Those players could do anything, and people that make our teams for a variety of reasons. They either make our team because they have an excellent matchup, or because their price is undervalued, or maybe they're going to get a big minute boost tonight. Maybe they've got the worst matchup in the league, but they're $3,500, dollars, and they're going to be playing 38 minutes tonight, and they'll likely make value. But it's not arbitrary for us. We don't make these decisions. We let the computer do it, and you have to be consistent with playing our lineups. Do we play these lineups? Absolutely. Do we believe in these lineups? Absolutely. A lot of times we've been asked for people to post maybe more than one lineup, and the truth of the matter is tonight I looked, and the difference between the number 1 and the number 25 lineup was 2.8 points. That means if we posted the number 5 lineup, that could easily be our best lineup. So could the number 25 lineup. You just never know. But it's not as if it's picking bad matchups at the 25th lineup. It's just, slightly a lower expectation than the number 1 lineup. So I don't want you guys to think we're holding any good, superior lineups back from you guys. If we knew which lineup was going to hit every night, we'd play it. We don't play a lot of tournaments, so you don't see us winning a lot of tournaments. We play cash games, and we win at cash games. And whether it's, sometimes we play 5 lineups a night, sometimes it's 10. And I know on nights where I've produced 3, 4, 5 lineups, I get a lot of emails saying, could you just put out one? It's too difficult. If we put out 2 lineups and one scores 330 and the other one 250, it doesn't make the 250 lineup a bad lineup. It's still a good lineup. It just didn't do that well. I mean, somebody could be injured. Somebody could. You never know what happens in the NBA, but it still makes it a plus EV lineup. So guys that make our lineup, they make our lineup for a reason. And in terms of winning percentage, I ran my numbers the other day. Our lineups win head to head at 63% this year. Break even with the rake is around 54.2%. It's about a 9%, increase there. Even with that type of, return, if you ran it through a binomial distribution calculator, which basically says, given so many samples over a month and your exact ROI, how often can I expect to lose? And I haven't done that in a while, but you can lose for an entire month. And the key here is consistency. You can't play, you can't play half of your bankroll one night and not the next night, because these lineups, they all do the best they can, but there's no exact science into it, and there's no really saying from night to night. Sometimes I'll love a lineup and it does poorly. Sometimes I don't feel as confident, and this is just my human feelings, and it does really well. Looking at tonight's lineup, Russell Westbrook had, I think, 19 points at halftime. It looks like all the little value guys have done well. Caldwell Pope has been playing 30-35 minutes a game. He's not a great option, and tonight he was really not a great option. But he made our lineup, and that happens sometimes. You can look at some other lineups, and just to scroll through, look at all the different scores we've got in there. Here's another lineup that's at 212. And more than happy to put these lineups out for you guys if you were curious about them. See if I can find some more lineups that are interesting. Here's a 200.5. We might have had this one already, but yeah, this is the exact same one I had up. But we have a variety of lineups. We play all the sets. I know there's been some talk on Twitter, but we really work hard. And why do we sell these lineups if they're winning lineups? We have a different business model, and our business model is to educate and help the members that come to our site as much as we possibly can. We have a lot of tools, and we're trying to benefit from the traffic that comes to our site, from selling lineups, and from people creating new accounts. If you create a new account on these sites, we support these sites. And right now it's FanDuel and DraftKings draft day, and here in the next couple of weeks we're expanding to 8-9 other sites. So we obviously get referral money from referring people, and we have a good name in the industry, and that's why we do it. We come from online poker background, and at the end of the day, we were very, very good poker players, and we're very good daily fantasy players. But at the end of the day, we're going to try to take a different approach to this and help as many people as possible. And there's a core group of guys that have stuck with us from the beginning. And if you do that and you're consistent in how you get your money in play every single night, you're going to see positive results. So I wanted to put this out, and thanks for coming by. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at swollyourrollsports@gmail.com. Hope you guys crush tonight in daily fantasy.